Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Wednesday, September 13th, 2017. I am Dave Biddle, and I'm very happy to be joined by the People's Champ, Matt Baxendell. Bax, Urban Meyer on the Big Ten teleconference yesterday, you said something pretty obvious. I did a story on it. He said, quote, the offense, we need to be more creative and take more chances. And, of course, fans on Bucknuts jumped all over that. Like, yeah, tell us something that we don't know. It's like, when are you actually going to start doing that? You know, and I think maybe he's taken some bullets for his quarterback, J.T. Barrett. We'll get into that in a minute. But, I mean, clearly, you look at Indiana's offense last year. You look at Oklahoma's offenses when Kevin Wilson was there. This Ohio State offense looks nothing like a Kevin Wilson offense. And you look at it looks like the exact same offense we've seen the last few years. So, yeah, they need to take more chances. But Bax, I mean, they need to let Kevin Wilson do his job. That would also help.
Yeah. This is a conversation between you and me of two people who have been two things. One, very big Kevin Wilson fans. We were the founding fathers of the Kevin Wilson to Ohio State bandwagon. The instant he was fired at Indiana and they had no good reason, you and I were the first two to go, bring him here, bring him here, bring him here. All right? This is not the Kevin Wilson we thought we were going to get. The other thing is you and I have been J.T. Barrett defenders for a very long time. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, Mr. Biddle, but he's lost me. And the truth of the matter is here, Urban, this is the first time Urban's on the hot seat in any way, shape, or form at Ohio State. I'm not saying he's going to get fired because they lost the game. But this is the first time there is a real critical portion of people looking at this team and not saying, oh, well, they lost the game, so the world's over. They're saying there's a established pattern of a problem here, and it's the offense the last couple of years, and it's the offense that I don't know if the way the offense is supposed to work is that the quarterback's supposed to run more than the running back, but that results in a loss. 5 out of 7 times Urban's lost at Ohio State, the quarterbacks ran the ball more than his running backs. And this is a long-standing Urban Meyer trend. Now, if your quarterback is Tim Tebow and you can run people over, it works great. But what have we said for years with our complaints about this team? Really, the one complaint you have about Ohio State under Urban Meyer, give the ball to blank and insert blank with Hyde. Insert blank with Zeke. Insert the blank with Weber. Insert the blank with Dobbins. Urban loves running the quarterback too much, and the offense we've seen the last couple of years, look, it's become obvious after 2 games, yes, Beck was incompetent, and Warner didn't know what he was doing, but Urban has an offense that he wants to run, and it's running the quarterback, and that's not Kevin Wilson's offense. And that running the quarterback thing has cost Ohio State virtually every time that they've lost a game that they've gone away from running the ball with their tailbacks and what they do well. And this is just another example. Kevin Wilson did not come to Columbus to be an Urban Meyer yes man on offense. Frankly, he didn't need to do that. He came here to win a national championship as a coordinator to get himself another head coaching job as an offensive genius. And you can see it after the game. He was pissed. So J.T. Barrett, at this point, we'll get into him, I'm sure. But Meyer has to take a large portion of the blame for this offense because this is his offense, and it's not the same dangerous, powerful, spread power offense that we saw back in the day. It's just not working, and he needs to start getting his hands off of it if the offense is going to start doing things right.
Yeah, and you could have put words in my mouth because I'm with you. I mean, I've been a J.T. Barrett guy, and I'm done defending him. I respect him, and I appreciate everything he's done. And I'm not 100% convinced it's time to just bench JT and never go back. But I do think there should be more of a competition than maybe there has been. And I will say this. I am convinced, Bax, that Urban internally, privately, is more conflicted about this than he is letting on to the media and to fans. I think fans think, oh, Urban's just blind love for JT. He's not even considering a change. Publicly, I can see why people think that because of what he said. I think, reading between the lines, I think he's conflicted. Here's why. In the past, including earlier this year, when people would ask about JT, he would gush about him. He would talk about the conversations that they would have together. Now when people ask, it's like, well, that's between us. That's not for here. That tells me they're having some really serious and tough conversations. That tells me he's thinking at least about Plan B. Not that he's going to go to it this week, but Plan B is more on the front burner now. He's said that a lot. I mean, I lost count of how many times at the press conference yesterday, during the Big Ten teleconference, and then 2 days ago at the actual press conference in Columbus that he said, well, we're having those discussions, but that's between me and JT. I mean, I think he's more conflicted than he's letting on. I don't know if it's going to be Dwayne Haskins or Joe Burrow that gets the first shot, but I do think he's conflicted about this, Bax.
You're right. And here's the thing. We, as outside observers, want something different. So we're just, like, a lot of fans are saying, oh, Urban's not going to change his mind, and that's ridiculous. Well, that's what he has to say, because he has to keep his team's confidence that JT can get the job done, even if behind the scenes. Look, I'm sorry, that tweet from Parsons, to me, says it all. There is a major schism that's going on behind the scenes right now. And what happened in the Zwick and Troy Smith era? You remember that spring game where Zwick was the anointed one, and which quarterback was picked first by Tressel's guys? It was Troy Smith.
Right.
Actually, and the players know who can play. They go to practice. They see these abilities. They know what these guys can do. And they know better than we do that JT Barrett has lost his edge in terms of being able to just turn around and make a decision and go. He's the most indecisive quarterback I can see. And watching that game again, because I walked out of that stadium furious on Saturday night, kind of just sort of at a spot where I was kind of resigned to the fact that things weren't going to change, right? The line was no good. Everything else was no good. Guys couldn't catch, blah, blah, blah. I watched that game again. The line was no good, people think. There was a couple plays by Isaiah Prince where he gave up a sack where he had for 4 seconds and JT couldn't make his mind up. There was multiple times where there were open receivers that were missed or just the pass wasn't good enough. And the truth of the matter is that JT Barrett at this point, he can't complete the passes accurately to guys in stride. And he can't make decisions like he did as a freshman. He has regressed. And at this point, he is who he is. That's not going to change anymore. And I just don't see it, I just don't see there being a change anymore. And you want to know the other truth? Kevin Wilson has never had a quarterback like JT Barrett before who runs the ball this much. The truth of the matter is, look last year at Indiana. His starting quarterback ran the ball 40 times the whole year. JT's ran it like 30 in 2 games. That's not a Kevin Wilson trend. If you look at the quarterbacks on the roster, do you know who fits the Kevin Wilson trend? Dwayne Haskins. The guy who can stand in the pocket to complete the passes, or Joe Burrow, who can throw the ball very accurately. Like, it's always bad to judge on a spring game, right? But watching the spring game, go back and watch and see where Joe Burrow's passes were. Perfect in stride to people. Those guys didn't slow down to catch the ball. But JT, they're turning around to try to get their hands on it behind, stretching out to get their hands on the ball. You know, it's at the point where JT can't make the passes, and that's a bigger problem than any play calling we can come up with. And Urban has to know that. Otherwise, the only offense we can run is the read option. And that's it.
If a change is made, whether or not Barrett gets hurt or Barrett keeps not performing well and they finally do make a change, do you think it'll be Haskins or do you think it'll be Burrow?
You know, do we know if Burrow's healthy? I mean, that's the first question I would have.
Okay, good question. For the sake of argument, let's say Joe Burrow is healthy when they decide it's time to make a change. Who do you think would get the call?
Good God, that's a hard question. Assuming they're healthy, everything we heard is that Burrow was a hair ahead of Haskins before he got hurt, but it's super close. You never know. I think that's another reason Urban doesn't want to make this decision is because if he has to go to one of these guys, the other one may leave before he's had a full chance to have a real quarterback competition.
Right.
If I had to guess, I think it's going to be Burrow, just because Burrow is an accurate passer and can also do the zone read aspects that Urban loves so much better. I think he'd be a compromise choice. Because I think Kevin Wilson, if he had his full choice, would probably start Haskins. Because he fits what he wants to be. Stand in the pocket, big arm guy who can hit guys in stride and stretch the field, right? Burrow is a more accurate guy. Burrow can run well. Burrow gets the Tom Herman seal of approval, if you will. But the truth of the matter is that this is a tough decision either way. But you want to know what else? I don't know if a quarterback can get worse passing than JT is right now at a place like Ohio State with all the weapons around him. So I honestly hate to say it because I love JT and I've been a big defender of his. But 2014 JT isn't coming back. And right now, JT came off against an Oklahoma team that's not a great pass defense with 84 passing yards when the game was in doubt. And it's just not acceptable anymore at a place like Ohio State that you can have a quarterback do that. And you want to know the real simple question? Is there a better time to make a change than now? There's not, in my opinion. It's Army who you're going to drill. It's UNLV you're going to drill worse. It's Rutgers, who's the worst Power 5 team this side of Oregon State. And then you have Maryland at home. You cannot have a better ramp up for a new quarterback than right now. This is your Pryor over Beckman moment. It's a change everybody knows needs made. In fact, it's probably more obvious than Terrell over Beckman was, right? It has to happen. And Tressel, at the time, to his credit, made the decision, even though the locker room was split on it. And right now, I think the locker room is way less split about making a decision than they were about starting Pryor over Beckman. And that's just my opinion on it, because it seems very obvious that JT can't get it done anymore. I don't think the players are going to be nearly as upset as they were, like Brian and them were when Beckman was sat.
Before I let you go real quick, some good news yesterday on the recruiting front for the Buckeyes. Not a surprise by any means, but big Antwon Jackson, a guy the Buckeyes went after hard in the recruiting process, defensive tackle, ranked as the number 2 JUCO prospect in the country. He committed to Ohio State yesterday. This 2018 class just continues to get better. Now the 2018 class has 18 members in it. Antwon Jackson, again, I mean, this is a guy that redshirted at Auburn last year, is at Belen Community College this year, and will have 3 years of eligibility at Ohio State. Now, if he's as good as advertised, you almost hope that he's not going to be at Ohio State for 3 years, but hey, it's good that he has those 3 years if needed. Bax, your thoughts on the Buckeyes landing Antwon Jackson?
I couldn't be less surprised. He wanted to come a year ago, and Auburn wouldn't let him transfer. So, let's be real honest. They wanted him. He went to Auburn, decided he made a mistake. Auburn could go anywhere except for the SEC and Ohio State. He said, screw you, I'm going to junior college, and then to Ohio State. So I'd be surprised. He's a great prospect. He's a player I think is going to play well for the Buckeyes in the future. There's not as much celebration of these sort of commitments during the season because we're all much more concerned about, completing a 10-yard out or hitting someone in stride 6 yards down the field. But this is a big deal, and if I wasn't so concerned about, hitting Paris Campbell in stride 6 yards down the field or KJ Hill on a fairly simple out pattern in the corner of the end zone, I'd be really, really excited right now. So I'm really happy. Welcome, Antwon Jackson. And if you could talk to Urban about the quarterback position, we'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, he's been asked a lot of questions about the quarterbacks, and he's going to continue to be asked those questions. There's no doubt about it. Great stuff, as always, from the People's Champ, Matt Baxendell. You can read his column on Bucknuts every Sunday. It is the Bucket. Thank you, Bax, and thanks to all the listeners out there for tuning in to the show. I appreciate it. Hope you have a great day. Let's hear that Buckeye swag, best damn band in the land.